husky.
Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes on. You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing, tomorrow's here
It's a
again.
brand new day, never hold on to hate. Cause you was placed here to be great. Please take your place. All queens got a seat at my table. Cause without y'all, then the man ain't able. Melanated queen, connected to the universe. And so I gotta thank my mom for my birth. If hate is the curse, then love is the remedy. So I send you love no matter creed or identity. Until infinity, look at you like you kin to me. Even when we disagree, yo, you still kin to me. In other words, I can't bring you no trouble, can't bring you no beef, don't wanna see you deceased. Now if I'm coming at you, I'm coming with a business plan. Cause every day I'm on some, yo, let's get this money, man. Yeah, and that's my real plans. I rest my head at night, I wake up, I got another plan.
Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes on. You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing, tomorrow's here again.
It's a lot of high rappers tell me why we don't get money together, but we'll kill each other over whatever. Running down the freeway, we gonna own down. If Black Lives Matter, why we gonna own down? That's why they laugh and they think that we clowns. They hear what we say, but see how we get down. We gotta change that now, right now to be exact. Cause hurting that man's moms is not where it's at now. Old school, new school need to learn, yo. They put us in groups so they can make more dough. The young versus the old versus the young. Black versus white, you see the pattern, right? No unity, keep them all on some gutter-ish. This way they don't prosper and get rich. Yo, can't you see it's a trick? Just open your third eye and you'll see the full view of it. Now yo, what if the powers that be know that the real power lies within the people? That's us. And what if they using things like crayon colors, black and white, to separate the people? Hey, yo, you gotta wake up. Don't let them fool y'all. Spread love.
Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes on. You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing, tomorrow's. Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes on. You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing, tomorrow's here again. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Uh-oh. I told y'all I was going to be unbearable today. I told y'all it was going to be a rough day if what I predicted happened. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning to everyone who's in here. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. Boy, oh boy, I have a lot of things to say today. It's gonna be interesting. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the Music Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE Beats of ClassEbeats.com. Of course, I'm wearing the red today. Woo, they're gonna be mad today. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. Thank y'all for being here. We're gonna go ahead and get into it. I have a lot that I have to say today, but let me see if everybody showed up who was talking all that talk over these past few months. Shout out to everyone who's in the building. Of course, the awesome, amazing Amy is up in here. Shout out to Amy. We've got Drama Llama in the building. Oh Lord, all the Trump supporters are here early this morning. Drama Llama said, hey, great result for America and the rest of the world. Go Trump, make America great again. Mark is in the building, like number 4. We got Virginia is up in here too. Good morning. K Money's in the building. We've got Mona. My guy Mark is up in here too. Shout out to Mark. Les Cleaver in the building. We've got 904 Cowboy Canes in the building. We've got Randall, my guy, up in here. A Fitz is in the building as well. Says good morning, y'all. I'll express my condolences as well in regards to Fanny. Yeah, we tried it, but I told y'all again, there's gonna be a lot of I told you souls today, and I have a feeling it's gonna be an interesting live stream because Fanny got back in office, as many of y'all know. So no surprise there, but it is unfortunate. We're gonna try again next time though. We'll do better. Michi is up in here. Shout out to Michi. Who else is in the building? Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh man, we've got Kyrese's up in here. She was up late watching the election results, watching our guy Trump walk back into office, stroll back into office. Les Cleaver's in here. We got Sonia. We have the Honorable Attorney Kel Bell is in the building. Shout out to you. We've got Varmint Killer Racing is in here. Oh my gosh. Says morning time, good neighbors, South Carolina in the house. Shout out to the 843 and the 843. Vegas in here. We've got Marga is up in here. Rachel's in the building. Linfinity is in the building as well. Antoinette's up in here. Michelle is in the building. Good morning. Good morning. D Andrews is up in here. All right, y'all. So we've got some business we have to handle in the building. And I know this is we're probably not going to have a lot of people in here because I told y'all if what I said happened, I was going to be unbearable today. And it did happen. What am I talking about? We'll get to the YSL coverage here in a minute. Congratulations and shout out to the 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump. Now, I guess we won't know the official results until the 16th, but still, I mean, y'all's girl Kamala got cooked. And here's the interesting thing. I don't even want to focus on the electoral votes. I want to focus on something that a lot of you have some explaining to do. Okay. What is the issue with this? Yeah, he won. Okay, we got the electoral votes. He's got 277. We're still waiting on a few states results to come in. What should y'all be concerned about? And by y'all, I mean everybody who was hyping up Kamala. This is what y'all need to be concerned about right here. What are these numbers? 71 million to 66 million. These are the popular votes. And what that vote is, that means us, the people, right? What we actually voted when we went to the ballot box, what everyone decided that they wanted. And it's looking like right now, over 50% of the people said that they wanted Donald Trump in office. Now, even based off of this channel alone, so many of y'all were saying, oh, he wasn't going to get in. Oh, people don't like him. People can't stand him. And over 51% voted that they wanted him in office. So y'all have an issue. Kamala supporters, everyone who voted for Kamala and is just an all out Kamala supporter, y'all have some explaining to do. And I feel bad for you because so many of the people that you're around, the people that you work with, the people that you see on the internet, your family members, they lied to y'all. They lied. Look at all this red, y'all. Look at the orange man. Over 50% of the popular vote. That means people closest to you, the people that said they were going to vote for Kamala, they lied. They lied to y'all. So take half of your family that said they supported Kamala and split them. Put them on different sides of the room. One half of that room lied. I was not expecting this personally. I did not think that Trump was going to have this high of a popular vote. But I think if you look at especially some of the people who are in the comments and on this channel and just throughout the world, we are at a place in our country to where saying the truth or speaking, even giving an opinion, is frowned upon, and people really don't want to say how they feel or what they think about certain things without being, shunned, without being shamed, without people saying they're going to unsubscribe and leave the channel, which, by the way, we hit 72,000 subscribers yesterday, but I don't want to celebrate yet because I know after this little monologue, people are going to start leaving. So we might be down to 70,000 after today. I want y'all to really think about this. What does this say that Donald Trump has 51% of the popular vote? And let's say we get 7 million just to make the numbers easier. Let's say we get 7 million more votes in over the next 2 weeks and votes accounted for. And all of those votes go towards Kamala Harris. That will still mean that 41% of the people in our country voted for Donald Trump. That is still a large portion of this country that was just allegedly saying, oh, well, we can't stand Orange Man bad. We don't want him in there. Listen, a lot of y'all and a lot of your family has some explaining to do. And I think a lot of us here, open-minded people, even if you're not a Trump supporter, a lot of you here are here because we have these types of conversations. Think about what that means and where we're at as a country. I want to create this space and I want to have this channel as a place to where people on both sides of the fence, both sides of the argument, when it comes to the YSL trial, when it comes to the politics in our country, when it comes to finances, crypto, sports, we can all have a conversation and we can have a place to where differing opinions are not only welcome, but they're used to continue to grow and continue to push the conversation. So this is a reminder to y'all. Just because people say one thing, their actions might show something way different. And I think we need to be able to have a space to have that conversation. So, hey, congratulations to 45, 47 in here. Y'all spam 45, 47 in the chat. He got in there. Some of y'all gonna be mad for the next 4 years, but it's gonna be all right. We're gonna have a good time. And there's more I want to go into, but we're not going to get into it on this show. I do have some smoke for some people, and hopefully Phenomenal RN stops by in the chat today because I got smoke for her too. But Unita Sims 3 weeks ago on this video, and then we'll get to court proceedings. What did she say on the video I talked about Trump on? And I said, he's going to get in. He's going to win. Y'all going to be mad. What did she say? She said, good afternoon. Good afternoon, all. ClassE, you and your BS over Dump Trump. Oh my gosh. Anybody but Dump Truck 2024. He made his most money as president. Stop it. And I said, get ready for the next 4 years. What did she say? That will not happen. And I told Unita Sims, I said, when it happens, you owe me $1 and I'm coming back to this comment. I keep my word, y'all. And if I was wrong, I would have said I was wrong. Oh, man. Shout out to Unita Sims, though. She's a good sport and she's always in here showing love to the channel and supporting. Again, it's going to be interesting to see how things go, especially with the House and the Senate looking like they're on the red side, too. Let me know. I want to know what y'all think about this in the comments, because, man, with that being the case, things are going to move so fast over the next 4 years. And everything that Donald Trump is saying he wanted to do and wanted to do even in the past during his first presidency, he's going to have a lot of ability and a lot of power to move quick. So get ready for whatever change. Whatever change is going to happen here in the next 4 years is going to happen quick. Shout out to Elaine, says, not polite to gloat. Elaine, respectfully, I am a terrible winner. So when I'm right, I'm definitely going to say I'm right. And I think gloating is fun. So I don't know if it's polite or not, but if you've seen some of the comments that were taking place on the channel before, I think my gloating is, this level of gloating is okay. But either way, Michi said, what a beautiful photo. Isn't it pretty? Look at that. Mark says 25 million so disgusted with Biden that they had That they did not show up. That's a great point too. Tanya's in here. Shout out to Tanya. Kyrie said it's a multi-layered situation. I'm an independent, so my desire was for two different candidates altogether. That's true. I can definitely see that. Did you vote for oh my gosh, why is his name escaping me? Was it Kennedy? Did you vote for Kennedy Kyrie? So you don't have to say in the chat if you're not comfortable. Wave Lori's in here, says good morning. He was saying make America great again in the chat. Yvette is in here, says the popular vote means it was us, we the people. Y'all's family lied to y'all, the silent majority. There's so many people out here saying, yeah, the orange man bad. Hey, can you put me down for Trump real quick?
Stop the cap.
I can't stand Trump. And they voted for him anyway. It's crazy. Donna says, puppets no longer, the strings have been cut off. Yeah, we'll see how these next 4 years go. Landon's Mobile says, I so relate, ClassE. As a Gen X, my grandchildren are constantly on about my post. Too frank or harsh, they say. I mean, giving your opinion is especially in this instance with something that's going to affect all of us. I don't think that should be shame. And it's a shame. And it's unfortunate that we're at that place in our country, but I think that's going to change. And we're going to do our part to change that here. Shout out to Marga, says here in Europe, we're scared now. Oh, why are you scared, Marga? I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. Steve G said, you don't think Trump will go after the corruption and power of the DA? I don't think he's got time for that. He's definitely going to have a talk with Fannie Willis, though, because she brought all those charges up against him. So she's, yeah, I'm sure she's going to get a phone call at some point. Shout out to Mark H, said, Mr. Under 70K, you can't afford to burn some subs with gloating. Oh yeah, absolutely. We are major gloating. I told y'all this was going to happen yesterday. I said, when Trump wins, y'all do not come back to this live stream tomorrow, because I'm going to spend a good amount of time not only telling y'all I told you so, but I got a pleasant surprise of seeing that most of you on this channel and most of you across America have been lying. 51%. I was shocked at this number. I thought it was going to be like 30. Trump got the popular vote, but people really want change, and they were sick of the last administration, honestly. So I get it. Trump standing on business. Absolutely. What did Kyrie say? I voted for J. Cole. Oh, Kyrie's. You could have said Kendrick Lamar and I would have been fine. Stephen Aubrey asked a very important question. Did Fannie get voted out? No. Fannie Willis won, and I think it was 68. She got around 68%. Courtney Kramer got a solid, I think, 31% or something like that. So we tried it. Actually, no, I think it was 28%. I'll look up the numbers, but I'll pull them up for y'all later. Randall King said Fannie is definitely nervous because best believe Trump is coming for her now. Absolutely. Les Cleaver said, I wonder what happens with all these lawsuits that Trump is facing. Yeah, get ready. It's going to be, we might even talk about it here on the show too, especially since Fannie Willis is involved. No Channel says it's crazy. Everyone was asking, where's Kamala during Biden's term? Then she finally shows up to run for president. And here's the thing people forget. And I should have said this in the past couple weeks. A lot of y'all forget, and a lot of people forget, that when Joe Biden was running, Kamala Harris ran too. And yeah, I'm going to say Kamala. I don't care. So y'all didn't want Kamala the first time. I don't know why people thought they would want her this time, especially after she was the vice president and she was in charge of certain things in our country that, to say the least, aren't going very well. Immigration. I don't know why people thought they didn't vote for Kamala the first time. Why do you think we want her now? So I don't know. It's interesting to see. Shout out to Beth Davidson here, says good morning. We're going to go ahead and get into the court proceedings here shortly. Shout out to DJ Paintless, says best comment I heard was voters in America didn't want their first woman president to be an idiot. Oh, dang. Now, I think that's a little harsh. Kamala was a horrible candidate saddled with a bad economy and a bad record of doing nothing. And even you heard across the board, if you watched some of the reports that were going on during the live coverage last night, you heard the number one thing that people were concerned about is the economy. And we're not going to go into the details on this show specifically, but if you look at the economy while Trump was in office, you look at the economy after, that's what people are going to take into account. And then taking into fact some of the policies and some of the things that Trump put in place while he was in office that are still there. A lot of informed voters are going to see that, and people are just, yeah, they know things are bad. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes for sure. Wave Lori says, I'd be forgetting Biden is still president. Is he though? Is he? What's up, Just Eric? Good to see you. Mark H says, ClassE Beats, there is the video, the old video of genuine comfortable Kamala on that Indian cooking show for TV years ago. Was she ever on a black cooking show? Oh Lord. Are we gonna let it live? Oh man, oh no. Sharice is in here. I know she's hurting this morning. Good morning, Sharice. Here we go. Oh God, don't act like the immigration issue just started. It's been here and will always find a way to be here. Don't put that on this administration. I absolutely will. Sharice, if you look at some of the policies, even if you want to like take parties out of it, go back and look at what Obama did. They were calling him the deporter in chief. Obama was getting illegal folks up out of here and was not playing games. And then Trump even continued some of what Obama was doing, which he did a great job with. And then this administration comes in and you just looking at the numbers, Kamala Harris absolutely just fumbled the immigration issue. And this administration did as well. Talk to California, talk to Texas. Talk to Mayor Brandon Johnson and ask him how the immigration issue is going. Ask Eric Adams, who's already in who's already in a lot of trouble and having his own issues in New York. Ask him what he thinks about immigration. AFIS said it is absolutely on this administration. Obama, he got it right. Trump continued on the legacy, and then Biden and Kamala just went in the opposite direction. So, yeah. It'll be interesting to see. All right. Y'all are probably tired of talking about politics. I got to go and look and see how many subscribers we lost. Either way, thank y'all for being here. If y'all could like the video, please. And if you disagree, you can actually dislike the video if it makes you feel better. But it does help the YouTube channel. It does help us continue to grow. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that y'all are enjoying the show, and it shares the video and the channel with more people. Let's go ahead and get into this coverage. We are starting out with the bang. Judge Whitaker's ready to go, and we're going to get right into it here. But thank y'all for being here as well. I appreciate all the comments.
Good morning. Everybody can be seated. Don't know if we have all the jurors or not. I haven't checked yet, but anything we need to put on the record before we get the jury out?
Your Honor, good morning.
Good morning.
My understanding is that Mr. Sumlin is on the state's agenda this morning at some point.
He's not coming today, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay. Is he coming at all?
Yep. Yes, he's coming.
Next week?
Yeah.
So, in preparation of him coming today, I reviewed his statement that he gave to Investigator Viverito and other law enforcement investigator J.P. Miller. And my understanding is the state is going to ask him questions based on things that he has personal knowledge of, and I understand that that's out there for potential impeachment. My concern, and I'm just making sure we're on the same page. Investigator Viverito asked him to speculate about a lot of things, why certain things would have happened. He makes it clear that he was locked up during the Donovan Thomas murder. He knows nothing about it. He also makes it clear that he does not know about the Shemar Drinks murder, and he's just, kind of speculating about why this would happen. There's a lot of talk how much would Jeffrey have paid them? Why, you know, the hypotheticals, why would Shannon have done this? And the reality is Mr. Sumlin has no firsthand knowledge of who did what. He's just kind of going off the cuff in this interview. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that none of that is, nothing that he is speculating or just kind of hypothesizing about, that he does not have first-hand knowledge of, will be inquired about.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning.
Oh no! Oh man! It's Adam Abadi Sr., y'all. Miss Love is back. You know what that means.
Have you ever had a dream that you could do so you?
I am so sorry. Oh man. All right, let's give her a chance. I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not gonna say anything positive or negative. Let's just hear her out.
Making
Yeesh.
inquiries into, we will be laying proper foundations, and we will be making inquiries into areas that we believe he has knowledge of. If we will not improperly ask a question that we've not laid a foundation for him having knowledge of. That's what we can say. I don't think it's proper for counsel for the defense to attempt to curtail our direct examination based on what he believes a witness has knowledge of.
Okay, well, I don't mean to curtail anything, but if the state brings out
Miss Love is
things
back. Oh,
that he does not
no.
have first-hand knowledge of and it's improper, I'm going to be moving for a mistrial with prejudice, and we all know that now.
Yeah, okay. So I would think that, y'all, I don't know if I've got a copy of the interview or not, but y'all could get together and see if you all can agree on what's clearly not within his knowledge and what might
God.
be, and then we could potentially litigate that beforehand on Friday.
We could do that. We could,
You do have a copy of it, Your Honor. It's in that 30 witness
Okay.
in his folder.
and Your Honor, we could definitely get together and talk about things that we believe, or one party believes he does or does not have direct knowledge of. But again,
I don't think there's any
given
we.
the way that the interviews have gone and the examinations have gone, I don't, again, think it's proper to prematurely try and curtail certain things. I believe
It
that
is absolutely proper to try to make an evidentiary determination beforehand on things that would be objectionable.
I don't disagree with what the court is saying. I'm saying that if we seek to, or if we establish a foundation for his knowledge of certain things that the defense does not believe he has knowledge of, I believe that curtailing our ability to make that foundation would not.
I don't think that's what he's asking.
Well, if that's what he's asking.
We're starting already. Dang, I shouldn't even put the poll in there. She cannot stand Miss Love. Oh my God. Y'all know they used to work together. Miss Love must have taken Judge Whitaker's lunch one day. She had that leftover Chinese food, that leftover sesame chicken and lo mein. And Miss Love was over there going crazy. Judge Whitaker she had enough that day. That's where it ended. Dang. That's sad, man.
Folders, they were in like buckets of 30. Which one am I supposed to be looking at? I thought we had litigated
She took her
everything there
rings.
was to litigate about
We did.
someone.
We keep going back to that day that we ran out of time, and,
Yeah,
and I
Fannie
was
won.
litigating a lot that day, but there was a couple things left on the table, and we were going to get back to it, and then
Okay, well, I guess
everything sped up, and
I guess that'll be Friday then.
And let's get you.
Anything else?
none of this time.
Do you know whether we have all the jurors? Not yet. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and if y'all wanted to see the numbers, here are the numbers here. We tried. We tried, y'all. I promise we did. Y'all know we did our part on this channel. Courtney Kramer, not too bad. 32%. A little bit higher than I thought, honestly. Is it enough to make Fannie Willis nervous? I highly doubt it. But she got 68% of the vote. Still, the early votes are in, but yeah, Fannie Willis got it. And again, as I mentioned to y'all before, it is highly unlikely that a black female Democrat incumbent district attorney gets voted out in Fulton County. It's just, it wasn't going to happen. Either way, we tried.
I didn't want to hold court up for the day, so I was going to bring it up at the end of the day, but if we're waiting on the jurors, I'll just raise it now.
We'll get them next time.
Continuing to wake my client up at 5 a.m. in the morning. He's exhausted. He has trouble participating in his defense in that state. I would just, once again, I know you said something once. The election, thankfully, was over yesterday. So maybe if that
I'm not sure what the election has to do
well, I thought
with
that
it.
was the reason that the jail was short-staffed. But anyway,
okay, I got you.
if that's the reason they're waking up at 5 a.m., that's over. So if they could get back to what they were doing prior to the brief recess we had last week.
What time does he get to go to bed? I mean, he can go to bed early.
I don't know.
I'm not saying I want him to keep having to be woken up at 5, but I would suggest that maybe he try to get his sleep in as soon as he gets back after he has his evening meal.
I understand, but for some reason, since the pleading out of the other defendants, there's been some kind of shift. And if that shift isn't wholly necessary, it would be good if he could get the same amount of rest he was getting prior to that.
Okay, so who would be in charge of what time they are awakened in the mornings?
Yo, let my boy Yak sleep, man. Dang.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure.
Shout out to Ms. Love.
Can I ask the state a question? Is when we get around to the jury charges, I don't know, but I think that early on in this case, John Floyd was involved. Is he still going to be available? Because certainly he's got some knowledge of RICO that might be helpful to the court in crafting the charges. Okay.
And Judge, we've actually been working with him.
Okay. Great.
We'll make him available.
Thank you. So, Ms. Persfield was just looking at wherever someone's evidence is and does not, oh, no. That would be.
Oh, turn that mic off. Sean P's in the building. What's up, my guy? Gang in the building. Sean P, how you feeling this morning, man? How you feeling about 45, 47, Sean?
Maybe that's what it is. Okay. So I think we were looking for a transcript. Is there a transcript available?
I told you what was going to happen, Sean.
We'll have to get it to the court this afternoon.
That'll be fine. Thanks. Yeah.
I believe there is a transcript.
Okay. Well, if we have one or can create one quickly, that might be helpful.
Whoops.
All right, so
Wrong
since
screen.
we're waiting on the jury anyway, what else did we need to be covering on Friday?
Yes.
Everybody here? All right, well, y'all get back to me sometime before Friday morning on that question. All right, y'all have your witness ready, whomever your first witness is going to be?
Okay, here we go.
We can go ahead and get them out. Okay.
don't know what you're talking about, Landon's Mobile. What do you mean?
Hey, who's your first witness going to be?
Appreciate you, El Papacito. Papacito. All right, we're on a delay, so we can skip ahead a little bit. Let's go ahead and get this first witness up in here. Oh, this witness looks like she's about her business. Classy clothes. She looks like she does not play around.
Testing.
Oh, she tests the mic? Ooh, wee. She's a professional.
If you'll swear our witness, please.
You raise your right hand.
Yeah, me too.
Swear affirm testimony you give today the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
State and spell your first and last name to the one you need out.
Okay. My first name is Sarah, S-A-R-A-H. My last name is Van Holm. That's 2 words. V-A-N-H-O-L-M.
Okay, Sarah.
I am currently employed with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation in the Division of Forensic Science.
And if you can tell the jury, what are your current job duties and responsibilities?
So I'm a firearms examiner. We primarily determine if a bullet or a cartridge case was fired from a particular firearm. We also perform services in serial number restoration and muzzle to target distance determinations.
And if you can tell the jury about your education and training in ballistics and firearm analysis.
So I have a bachelor's degree in biology from the University of North Georgia. Prior to being employed with the GBI, I was an operations manager for a small firearms manufacturing company. I was a certified firearms instructor, and I was also a professional competitive shooter.
Oh, dang.
Upon being employed with the GBI,
She be
I
shooting.
completed a 14-month training program to become a firearms examiner, and that was followed by 7 months of supervised casework. I have been certified as an armorer for multiple firearms manufacturers, including Glock. I have attended multiple conventions and conferences that are firearms related, and I am also a member of the Association of Firearm and Toolmark Examiners.
And over the course of your time, well, and I don't think I asked, how long have you been with the GBI?
How long? Since July of 2017.
How many cases have you analyzed while you've been at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
Now, this is a professional.
Almost 400 cases.
This is an expert.
And how many cases have you worked where you had to compare both projectiles and handguns?
The majority of those cases dealt with comparisons.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to tender Ms. Sarah Van Holm as an expert in ballistics and firearms analysis.
All right, she is so qualified and may testify as an expert in those fields.
If you can tell the jury, what is the difference between a semi-automatic handgun and an automatic weapon?
Yes, so a semi-automatic handgun is a handgun that fires one cartridge per single pull of the trigger. An automatic handgun is a type of handgun that fires multiple cartridges per single pull of the trigger.
And are there mechanisms that can be used to change a semi-automatic handgun to an automatic handgun?
Yes, there are.
And what are those mechanisms?
So there are different ways
switch.
to turn a semi-automatic handgun into a fully automatic handgun. The most common one that we see in casework is going to be something called a Glock switch. It is usually a slide back plate aftermarket part that replaces that back slide plate, and it renders a Glock firearm fully automatic.
Mm-hmm. And I want to draw your attention to DOFS case number 2022-101-9842, where you requested to do any testing on a Glock 9mm pistol.
Yes, I was.
And what agency submitted the evidence to the GBI?
It was Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
And what were you requested to do?
I was requested to perform what we call a check function on the firearm and determine if it can fire fully automatic.
And how would you do a check function test on a semi-automatic gun?
So semi-automatic, when we perform a check function, we are going to test fire that firearm. We're going to look at that firearm to determine if the safeties are operational and functional. We're going to determine if there's any alterations done to the firearm, if there's any damage to the firearm, and if that firearm is operating as it should.
Okay. And is that the same process you would go through to determine if it's an automatic weapon?
Yes, so if it's an automatic weapon, we perform a few extra test fires to determine that it will fire a certain amount of cartridges to render it full auto.
And how many cartridges are you looking for to determine if it's full auto?
6 or more.
And why are you determining if it's 6 or more?
So that's according to the Code of Georgia standards for what is defined as a fully automatic weapon.
That's crazy.
And what was the serial number of the weapon that you were asked to test?
So if I may refer to my notes. So the serial number on the slide and frame was BPHW105, and the serial number on the barrel, which was different, was KUT516.
And what was the type of firearm?
The type of firearm, according to the frame, was a Model 45 Glock 9mm pistol.
And were you able to test to determine if that Glock 9mm pistol was operating as an automatic weapon?
Yes, the plate on the back, the full auto sear on the back, did render the firearm full auto.
And you said the sear on the back?
Yes, so that would be the aftermarket slide plate auto sear, or the Glock switch, as it's commonly called.
And after conducting this test, did you write a report?
Yes, I did.
And are your findings contained in that report?
Yes, they are.
And after your report was published, did that conclude your involvement in that DOFS case number?
Yes, it did.
You talked about the fact that there was a different serial number, BPHW105, on the barrel of the gun, and then KUT516 on a different portion of the gun. Is that unusual?
Yes, generally that means that the barrel was replaced from the original barrel.
That's a fact, Sean.
Court's indulgence for a moment. Is that significant for you as a firearms examiner?
It can be, because during comparisons, we look at the markings that the barrels in part on the projectiles. So that is something that we would look at if we were doing comparisons.
All right. Court's indulgence for a moment. If there's a difference of the serial numbers, does that have any impact on being able to trace that firearm?
So typically the firearm is traced using the serial number on the frame, because that's technically what the firearm is. That is the frame of the firearm. So that is how you typically would trace a firearm.
Permission to approach? I'm going to show you what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 51XXA. Tell me if you recognize State's Exhibit 51XXA.
Well, we got the gun. Hopefully YouTube doesn't get mad at us for showing this on the live stream.
This firearm is cleared. There is a lock through the chamber. Yes, I do recognize it.
And how do you recognize 51XXA?
I recognize it by the serial number and my initials on the trigger guard.
And is that the same weapon that we have just been discussing a few moments ago?
Yes, it is.
All right. And you talked about the Glock switch. If you can pull the weapon out again for us, if you can just kind of show the jury, point to where is the converter or the switch on the weapon.
Yes, so typically Glocks will have a back slide plate that is flush to the slide on the back. So that was removed, and this Glock switch was then replaced and put on the firearm.
And when you talk about the two different serial numbers,
which is terrible, by the way.
Where the two different serial numbers are.
Yes, so there's a serial number here on the frame. There's a serial number on the slide. And so that's the slide and frame serial numbers, which is going to be BPHW105. And then the serial number on the barrel is actually going to be right here on the chamber of the barrel. And that is KUT516.
And I don't know if any of y'all, well, I don't even know if I want to say this, but shooting an automatic handgun is insane. I'm gonna just put it at that. It makes no sense. It's inaccurate. Waste ammo. It's silly. Unless you're shooting into, I'm not even gonna say that. It's silly.
Are you familiar with the NIBIN system?
Yes, I am.
Okay. When there are two different serial numbers on the NIBIN system, two different serial numbers on the weapon, does the different serial numbers on the barrel and the other parts have any impact on the ability to get proper NIBIN results or ballistic comparisons?
Okay, so for comparisons, it may impact it because if a barrel is switched out, obviously we're looking at the markings on the actual projectiles themselves. For NIBIN is the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network. That has to do with cartridge cases only. So we're not looking at projectiles for that. So switching out a barrel isn't as pertinent as it would be maybe a slide.
Thank you so much. I have no further questions.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Max Shard. I represent Shannon Stillwell. I just have a couple questions. It seems that you're telling us that there's components from two different firearms on this gun.
Yes.
Okay. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what caliber bullets or projectiles does this gun, as is, fire?
9mm.
Okay, fires 9mm. All right. Do you have any evidence that this gun has been used in any crimes on record?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have any evidence that this firearm has ever been fired by Shannon Stillwell?
I do not.
Do you have any evidence at all that Shannon Stillwell has ever been in possession of this firearm that you tested?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Great question from Max. He didn't even attack her credibility. He just said, do you know who shot this? Nope.
Good morning.
I have some similar questions to Mr. Sharp. Do you have any evidence that Mr. Kendrick ever fired this firearm?
I do not.
Do you have any evidence that Mr. Kendrick was ever in possession of this firearm?
I do not.
Do you know who modified this firearm to put the switch on the firearm?
I do not.
And do you know who may have modified the firearm so that it has a barrel that is inconsistent with the frame?
I do not know.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Actually, Your Honor, one more question. Do you know why the state brought you here today and wasted your time? No, I do not. Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect.
The questions that were just asked of you, would you have any way to know any of those answers, given your work at the GBI?
I would not.
No further questions.
Who can give us those answers?
I do not know.
All right. I look forward to hearing from them.
Ooh.
All right.
Matt's getting a little sneak diss in there. Dang. Oh my. Yo, Max got some shots in there. Miss Hilton came back with the, well, would you know that information? She said, no, that's not my job. Max said, do you know whose job that is? She said, no. Max said, oh, good. I know whose job it is. And guess what? They didn't do their job. So I'm excited to hear from them. Y'all give it up for Max Sharp, who represents Shannon Stillwell. Always in here cooking. Oh, that was great.
You are excused. State, call your next witness.
I'll do it, Sean. I'll do it for you.
Shay to the stand.
Don't mess with this lady, though. She does not play. If something goes down, you hide behind her. You know she's got something on her. She's got your back.
We're gonna need that.
You ready for that one time? Swear firm testimony by this court, true culture, nothing but you said? I do. You have to see, you state your first and last name, it's coming up, please.
First name Brian, last name Shea. It's BRYANSHEA.
And where are you currently employed?
I am currently employed with the Gwinnett County School Police.
And how long have you been with the Gwinnett County School Police?
Nice.
Since August 19th of this year.
And prior to working at the Gwinnett County, for the Gwinnett County School Police, where did you work?
I was a senior investigator for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, but I was task forced out to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
How long did you work at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office?
I started in August of 2021.
Now, you said you also served as a task force officer with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. What did you do as a task force officer?
I was attached to an enforcement group. Our main function was illegal firearms, narcotics, and gang issues.
Interesting.
And while you were a task force officer, did you have the occasion to handle cases involving machine gun conversion devices?
I did.
And is that commonly called a switch?
It is.
What type of cases did you handle regarding machine gun conversion devices?
One specifically is I test fired a piece of evidence involved in the YSL case, the RICO trial. It was a Glock model 45 9mm that had a MCD, a machine gun conversion device affixed to the back of it.
And if you can briefly tell the jury, what was your education, background, and training experience to qualify you to serve as a task force officer?
I started law enforcement in 2003 with the Atlanta Police Department. I served there for almost 10 years. Left in 2010, went to the City of Johns Creek Police Department, where I started as uniform patrol, worked my way to detective, then made my way to narcotics detective, worked undercover narcotics for a task force. Left there in 2021, came here, was immediately assigned to the ATF, where I studied under numerous special agents there in weapons, firearm recognition, and how firearms work, specifically illegal ones.
Okay. So I want to take you to May 25th, 2023, where you asked to test a Glock Model 45 pistol.
I was.
And were you familiar with that type of firearm?
I was. It was actually the duty issued weapon that I was given by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
And there is an exhibit in front of you, 51XXA. Please look and tell me if you recognize State's Exhibit 51XXA.
Y'all leave Adam Abadi alone.
Yes, ma'am. I'm familiar. I recognize this weapon.
How do you recognize it?
This was the weapon that I test fired that day.
And when you say that day, you're talking about May 25th, 2023?
Correct.
All right. And how many, in your time either as a task force officer or as in your other roles, how many guns with switches have you handled during the course of your law enforcement career?
Oh, numerous.
And what were you asked to do regarding that weapon?
I was asked to just do a demo video to show its functionality, that it does in fact fire as a fully automatic machine gun.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 51XXC. Tell me if you recognize State's Exhibit 51XXC.
I do.
How do you recognize 51XXC?
By the case number and my initials and date and time on it.
Okay. And what is contained on 51XXC?
It is the video of myself at the Fulton County Training Center range, test firing a normal function semi-automatic Glock 45 9mm, and then test firing.
Ooh, I want to see that.
Okay. And did that video fairly accurately depict your test firing of both those two weapons?
It does.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to tender and admit 51XXC.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Man, I hope we get to see that. I want to see the video. But y'all know we're delay game. We don't take any breaks.
Tested it a normal. Go ahead.
I want to see it too.
Now you said before you tested it a normal functioning handgun and then I guess a not normal. What's the distinction between the normal way that it should operate and the abnormal way?
So the normal way, a semi-automatic pistol, is one trigger pull, expels one round from the magazine out of the barrel of the firearm. And when I test fired the state's exhibit, it was one trigger pull, and it expelled 6 rounds out of the magazine, out of the weapon.
Yes, we did cover AFITs, but you know, we have to say it again and again And again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Multiple different ways. That's how the state works. 403,
And before we play
waste
it,
of time.
Just where are you when you do the test fire?
The Fulton County Training Center.
Oh, we get to see the video. Hopefully YouTube doesn't
And which gun do you
get me
test
for
fire
this.
first?
So it starts off with my actual duty weapon. That is the same make and model as the state's exhibit. And mine is a semi-automatic pistol, functioning as a semi-automatic pistol.
Glock Model 45. This is my duty issued weapon. Serial number is Bravo Tom Uncle George 256. Empty chamber. Six-round magazine loaded into duty weapon. Range is hot. Empty magazine.
What did you say there?
I said empty magazine, and I showed an empty chamber, that there are no more rounds inside the pistol.
6 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Glock model number 45, serial number Baker Paul Henry, Whiskey 105. Six-round magazine.
Sheesh. I want to run that again. Look how hard it was for this professional shooter to control. I mean, it knocked him back. Did y'all see that? I wish I could. I want to play it in slow motion.
6-round magazine.
Let me put my cursor to where the position of the gun starts. He starts here, and the gun goes all the way back here.
And what do you say there?
Switches are
empty
stupid.
magazine, empty chamber again.
Crazy.
And did that conclude your demonstration video?
It did.
Course indulgence for a moment.
A switch on the handgun is pointless. Unless ... You fill in the blanks. I'm definitely not saying anything like that on YouTube. Y'all are smart people. Y'all want to see it again? Wave Lori. Hey, Wave Lori, Trump is in office. You do not have to speak like this anymore. He said the pistol identifies as a machine gun. Yeah, it's wild to see the difference. I'll run it back one more time. And now I was watching the gun when he fired. Watch his shoulder.
5.
Watch his shoulder. His right shoulder.
6-round magazine.
Crazy.
And what do you say there?
I said empty magazine, empty chamber again.
And did that conclude your demonstration video?
It did.
Course indulgence for a moment.
Sheesh. Oh, Amber's in the building. What's up, Amber?
When you shot the automatic weapon, did it fire 6 rounds with one trigger pull?
It did.
All right. Thank you. No further questions.
Any cross of this witness?
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for your time. You are excused. Call your next witness.
That was a fun witness. I like that. No, Christina Flora. And most of these Christina Flora said, okay, hear me out. The more they use this, would they gain more control? No. Nope, it's still going to be the same amount of pool. I mean, you could work out, you could practice with it and maybe, but most of these guys don't even shoot these things until it's time. A lot of the guns will be sitting in the trunk or they'll be carrying them around and never shoot them ever. Or they'll shoot them like this and then they don't know what they're doing. They don't take the time. It's possible, but again, a switch on a handgun, even a 9mm, y'all saw how much kickback and how much he was struggling to keep the gun lined up. It's not worth it. Yeah. Facts. That's a fact.
Raven Williams, RAVEN WILLIAMS.
And good morning, Ms. Williams. How are you?
Good morning, I'm fine.
How old are you?
36.
And do you work?
Grown.
Yeah.
What type of work do you do?
Home health care.
Okay. And are you from Atlanta?
Basically, yeah.
When you say basic, what do you mean?
I was raised in Augusta.
And how long have you been in the Atlanta area?
About 16 years.
And do you know someone by the name of Shamel Drinks?
Yes.
And how do you know Shamel?
I've been knowing
Rest
him
in peace.
since Augusta.
Were you both raised together in Augusta?
We wasn't raised together, but we were around each other a lot.
And are you familiar with his family?
Yes.
Do you know his mother?
Yes.
All right. And what's her name?
Sandra.
And does he have siblings?
Yes.
How many?
4.
And did he have children?
No.
Did Shamel have a nickname?
Yes.
What was his nickname?
Peanut.
Shout out to Augusta.
And is that a nickname you called him when y'all were back in Augusta?
Yes.
Now, I know you said that you all grew up together or were around each other in Augusta. Do you know if he was born in Augusta?
Yes. No, I think he was born in Atlanta, I think.
But was he raised in Augusta?
Some, partially. That was back and forth.
Okay. When they were back and forth, is that between Augusta and Atlanta?
Yes.
Do you know where in Atlanta he would stay when they were in Atlanta?
I'm not sure when he was staying with his mom, but at the time of death, he was living with me.
Okay. Back in 2022, did you ever know him to hang out in the Summerhill neighborhood?
Yeah, I think so.
What about in Mechanicsville?
I guess that's what you call it. I'm assuming.
I want to direct your attention to March 14th, 2022. Did you have the occasion to see Shamel drinks on that day?
Yes.
Where were you when you saw him?
Home.
At the time, where were you living?
In Douglasville.
If you were coming from downtown, how would you get to your home?
20 West.
Sitting here today, do you remember what time he came to your house, or was he at your house all day?
I don't remember the time verbatim. I just know when I got there, it's like it was almost time to get my daughter from gymnastics, and that's normally like I want to say like 6 something, but I just can't remember verbatim. But like around that time frame, I believe.
And we say 6 something, that's 6 something p.m.
Yeah.
All right. Was he already at your home when you were getting ready to maybe get your daughter from gymnastics?
Yes.
Was he at your home with anyone?
Yes.
Do you know who?
A boy named Barter.
Who?
Has you ever met that individual, Barter, before?
No.
Do you know if Barter was a nickname or his given name?
I'm not sure.
I don't know either. She just knew Shamel. She knew the victim.
When you were home, let me ask, did you get home and he was already there with Barter, or did he come to your house and you let him in and he came with Barter?
I kind of think that it was kind of like at the same time, or like a few minutes off. I think he had pulled up and then they were in the car, and then when I pulled up, he started coming into the house.
Yep.
Did both he and Barter come inside of the house?
He was coming in first with me, telling me who it was, and then the guy was coming up.
Now, I think I may have asked you this, but I'll ask you again. Had you ever seen Barter before?
No.
Had you ever heard Shamel talk about Barter?
No.
Did you all have plans for that evening?
Yes.
What were they?
I was getting ready to cook dinner, so he was coming back home to eat and chill with me and my daughter.
And let me ask you, at the time, were y'all two dating?
Yes.
All right. Did he stay at the house?
That night?
That night.
No, he never returned.
You said you had to get your daughter maybe around 6 o'clock p.m. What time did he leave your house?
I'm not sure.
Was it before you left to get your daughter or after you left to get your daughter?
He left just a couple of minutes before me.
Did you know where he was going?
He told me that he was running to the city and that he was dropping Barter off, and then he was coming back.
Was there anything that you saw or observed that kind of triggered him leaving?
Kinda, but not really. I mean, I guess like the boy kept like just trying to insert himself, like, oh, you cooking? I'm staying too. Can I stay? And like he was, my niece was there, so he was trying to like court my niece or whatever. And so I want to say the phone rang, if I remember correctly, and that's how he just ended up go ahead and leaving.
Do you know whose phone rang?
Mm-mm.
Okay. When he left, did he leave with Barter?
Yes.
Did he ever make it back home?
No.
Did you at some point learn about his death?
Yes.
All right.
They could have asked anybody off the street these questions. Like, come on, man.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 123VV. Do you recognize individual 123VV?
Yes.
How do you recognize him?
That's Shamel.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of how Shamel looked prior to his death?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to admit 123VV into evidence.
It's admitted.
Permission to publish.
You may.
And is that Mr. Drinks?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Any questions for this witness?
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. One quick
Go ahead.
question. Have you ever heard of the name Christian Johnson?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
This witness, sorry for your loss. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you for your time. You're excused. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, court can go just for 1 minute.
You said sorry for your loss, man. Sharice Washington says, I had to step away for a few. Who is this? It's someone who was close to Shamel Drinks, victim of the shooting we heard about yesterday. Skip it. Ew, Miss Love is back. Ugh.
Whomever it is.
Happy hump day. I mean Trump day. Hey.
Okay.
Amy, you see Amber, you better get her. Amber is
Where's he going?
You raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
I need you to state your first and last name. Spell your first and last name to the record.
Phil Norton, PhilNorton.
Good morning, Mr. Norton. How are you?
Good.
Oh
Good.
boy, here we go.
Mr. Norton, would you tell the jury, are you a gun owner?
Yes,
How long have you owned guns, firearms?
my entire life.
What type of guns have you owned throughout your lifetime?
Couldn't tell you.
Have you ever owned a Glock 9mm weapon?
Yes.
All right. Now, when you purchase your firearms or when you obtain your firearms, where is it that you ordinarily get your firearms from?
The internet.
Various places. I make holsters for a living, so I come across a lot of guns.
You make what for?
Holsters for guns.
Okay. And you said, so you come across a lot of guns?
I do gun shows almost every weekend,
All right. And where do you do your gun shows?
all over the place.
During your gun shows, do you buy guns from people or do you just sell them?
Everything, it changes every day. It's almost like a pawn shop.
Okay. All right. And do you
There's a
have...
lot of trading going on, selling, buying, not necessarily just guns, everything.
Okay. Including
Ammo,
your
optics, holsters, bags, everything in the industry.
Okay. Do you have to comply with any federal regulations at those gun shows?
If you buy from an FFL agent, yes. If you buy from a FFL holder, yes.
And what is an FFL holder?
Federal firearms license.
All right. Now, when you say if you buy from an FFL holder, you have to comply with federal regulations. During those exchanges and during those sales and transactions that take place at the gun shows that you attend, are you either buying from FFL holders or are you an FFL holder?
No.
So there's no restrictions to the way that you sell and
Well,
purchase
if you're a
guns?
private owner or a private seller,
under the Constitution, you can buy and sell guns. You don't have to have an FFL license.
Okay,
Just like if you were my neighbor and I sold you a gun.
okay.
I don't know if you know that or not.
I do not, because you just told me.
Yeah.
So when you purchase a firearm from someone, is there any kind of record, or do you keep any kind of record of the types of
Not
firearms?
unless it's an FFL agent, no. Unless, if it's an so in other words, if I go to Academy Sports, there's paperwork filled out.
Okay.
If it's a private sale, no.
Now, have you said you've owned guns all of your life, or at least you've had
Yes, ma'am.
access to firearms. So is it safe to say that you're pretty familiar with firearms and how they work?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the types of gun that you've owned, have they all been semi-automatic? Have they sometimes been revolvers, pistols, a whole range of guns?
Yes.
Yes to which question, since I asked a
All of
compound
them.
one? Okay. Have you ever owned an automatic weapon?
No.
Have you ever handled an automatic weapon?
No.
Do you know what an automatic weapon does?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
Because this is my business.
Fair enough. And so is it safe to say you make it your business to do that type of research, or you've seen it in action?
It's 2024. If you can't see that on YouTube, it's pretty easy.
Okay.
It's very acceptable knowledge. Everybody has it.
All right. And what about the way that a gun is made or transitioned from a semi-automatic to an automatic weapon? Are you familiar with that as well?
No. Not how to do it.
Not how to do it?
Mm-mm.
Are you familiar with the mechanism that causes a gun to go from semi-automatic to automatic?
Which one?
The switch.
I am familiar with it.
All right. Have you ever purchased a switch?
No. I've only seen it on TV or YouTube, I would say.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you what we have marked as states 51XX alpha. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
My bad.
Now, are you able to recognize
Oh,
the firearm that is in this box?
I was up here cooking Kel Bell for no reason.
And-
I was just saying, Kel Bell, you know why this witness is on the stand. Because we have to hear this 60 times. All right? Jeez. I'm just going to let it play.
51XX alpha. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank y'all.
Now, are you able to recognize the firearm that is in this box?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you ever owned the firearm that is in this box?
According to why I'm here, yes.
You're good, Kel.
Now,
I'm just
would you
playing.
explain what you mean when you say according to why you're here?
I believe I purchased this off of a law enforcement agent, and then I traded it at some point.
Okay.
What I've been told, and I believe when I was talked to about it, yeah.
And does this appear to be the firearm that you purchased from that?
Not anymore, now with that switch on it.
Okay. Do you see the switch on it that you're talking about?
I do, I know what they are.
Okay.
I've never seen one. I've only seen it on YouTube.
All right. Point two.
That's it, right?
Is it okay if I hold it up, Judge?
Yes,
All
it's locked, right?
Yes.
It is, Judge.
Yes.
It's right there in the back.
Okay. So this little part right here?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And so somehow that makes it so you just pull the trigger once.
Okay.
He's a smart
And what is
man.
your understanding
He said, "That's
when
not
you
my
say pull the
switch."
trigger once, somehow that makes it.
It empties it. It just, you don't have to pull it again.
Okay. And given your experience with firearms,
Jesus, this is... Why are they letting Miss Love handle this gun? That would make me nervous. He is not comfortable with her touching this
is there
weapon.
any particular reason that you never purchased a switch or utilized
It's a felony and illegal? Be a good reason.
Okay, let's do
Yeah.
that. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And the last time that you owned this weapon, it did not have that switch attachment on it.
It didn't come from the officer like that, and it didn't leave me like that.
Do you remember what you did? Did you sell it at one of your gun shows?
I really don't. I tried to recall. It was quite a while after. I don't know if I traded it or sold it, or I really don't remember.
Okay.
I probably traded it because you can usually trade in it more value.
And when you say traded it, would it have been at a gun show or at a pawn shop?
No, at a gun show.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, there's not records that are kept of who you would have traded it to.
No, ma'am.
And then once you traded it, you kept no contact with the buyer of the firearm to know what they did with it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Just one second.
And he's probably embarrassed because the gun got stolen.
Now, is it, I'm sorry, I'm gonna let him make that like it should be. Is it safe to say, or I should ask you, do you even know a person by the name of Shannon Stillwell or Shannon Jackson?
No, ma'am.
Do you even know a person by the name of Diamante Kendrick?
No, ma'am.
Do you know anyone that goes by the name SB?
No, ma'am.
Do you know anyone that goes by the name Yak Gotti?
No, ma'am.
Do you know a Jeffrey Williams?
No, ma'am.
Do you know anyone that goes by Young Thug personally?
No, ma'am.
And is it safe to say you've never had any transactions with either of those people?
Ask that again?
Have you ever had any transactions with either of those
No, ma'am.
people? All right. Thank you so much, sir. That's all I had.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions for this witness? Mr. Weinstein, okay.
Good morning, Mr. Norton.
Morning.
My name's Doug Weinstein. I represent Diamante Kendrick, who's sitting right over there.
Okay.
Just a couple of questions. You said that when you had this firearm, it did not have a switch on it, correct?
Yes, sir.
You don't know who modified it to put that switch on there, do you?
No, sir.
You don't know if my client, Mr. Kendrick, has ever been in possession of this gun, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. You don't know if he's ever fired this gun, do you?
No, sir.
All right. No further questions. Thank you.
Redirect.
Just briefly, you were not at a person by the name of Jeffrey Williams' house on May 9th, 2022, were you?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time. You may step down, call your next witness.
What?
You're excused. Thank you.
That was a terrible question.
Melissa Sims Stanley.
So this gun was used to shoot Shamil drinks. That's why they're talking about it. Jeez, this is brutal. Were you at Young Thug's house?
Melissa Sims Stanley, Melissa Sims Stanley.
Say good morning.
Good morning.
Could you explain to the jurors how you are currently employed?
Currently I'm retired as of July this year.
Congratulations.
Prior to July of this year, well, congratulations, Juan. And prior to July of this year, can you tell the jurors how you were employed or where?
Yes, I was an associate medical examiner with the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office.
And can you tell the jurors how long were you an associate medical examiner with the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office?
I began at Fulton County as a locum tenens or contract medical examiner in March of 2020 and was hired full-time in July of 2022.
And prior to beginning your contract work in March of 2020 with Fulton County, can you tell the jurors, were you employed by other medical examiners, agencies in other counties?
Yes, I was a regional medical examiner with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation from July of 2000 to December of 2019.
Now, can you tell the jurors a little bit about your educational background and training that has allowed you to work as a medical examiner for all these years?
I obtained a Bachelor of Science degree from Emory University, a medical degree from the Medical College of Georgia. I did a one-year internship in internal medicine, also at the Medical College of Georgia. I then completed an anatomic and clinical pathology residency, followed by one-year fellowship in forensic pathology at the Medical University of South Carolina.
And can you tell the jurors, in your number of years working in various medical examiners, agencies or offices, approximately how many autopsies have you performed?
Greater than 3,500.
Lord, it's a lot of dead bodies.
Dr. Sim Stanley as an expert in forensic pathology.
She is so qualified and may testify as an expert in that field.
Thank you, Judge.
She's caught more bodies than all the dudes in this trial combined, allegedly.
Now, Dr. Sim Stanley, can you tell the jurors generally when you are preparing to begin an autopsy, some of the first steps that you take before actually beginning the autopsy?
Yes, every medical examiner's office has a staff of medical examiner investigators. So the coroner, if it's a certain county, or law enforcement will contact the medical examiner's investigators to discuss a death. If that death falls within the jurisdiction of a medical examiner's office, then the case is accepted into that office. Cases which fall under the Georgia Death Investigation Act to be autopsied by medical examiners' offices are unnatural or unexpected deaths, unnatural being homicide, suicide, accident. However, every medical examiner's office gets a fair number of natural deaths, drug-related deaths. It's just that they may be in the unexpected category.
Okay, and can you tell the jurors, while working at the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, was it a part of the normal procedures and practices for an autopsy to be documented with photographs?
Yes.
And as you do the procedures with the external and internal portions of the autopsy, are you having someone, I guess, take your notes of your findings and conclusions?
I take notes during the autopsy and then dictate the autopsy afterwards to be transcribed.
Okay, and are your findings and conclusions then memorialized in a report?
Yes, they are.
And is that something you did for every autopsy that you performed while working with the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Now, I want to direct your attention to March 17th of 2022. Did you have the occasion to perform an autopsy on a gentleman named Shamel Drinks?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, as it relates to the autopsy of Mr. Drinks, were the policies and procedures that you just described completed? And I mean, were photographs taken and was a report created?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to show
A nice
you
piece, slow breeze.
What's been marked as state's exhibits. Mr. Weinstein. I want to show you what's been marked as state's exhibits 126 through 161, and then state's exhibit 162, Victor Victor.
It's very thorough.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Sim-Stanley, in your review of state's exhibits, we'll start with 126 VV through 161 VV. Do you recognize the photographs contained in those exhibits?
I do.
And can you tell the jurors how you recognize those photographs?
They are photographs which were taken during the course of the autopsy.
Okay. And are those photographs in state's exhibits 126 VV through 161 VV? Are they fair and accurate copies of the photographs taken during the March 17, 2022 autopsy of Mr. Drinks?
Yes, sir.
And I want to move to State's Exhibit 162 VV. Can you tell the jurors, do you recognize that exhibit?
I do.
And how do you recognize it?
It is a copy of my autopsy report.
Okay. And is State's Exhibit 162 VV, is it a fair and accurate copy of the autopsy report that you created for the autopsy that you did on Mr. Drinks on March 17th of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender what's been marked as State's Exhibit 126 VV through 162 VV.
Through, Your Honor, for 126 to 161, no objection. 162, I don't have an objection for admitting it for the record. I guess it's a...
Yes, she is showing the jury, yeah.
Okay, well, those are all admitted. And in terms of what goes out, we'll sort that out later.
Now, Dr. Sim-Stanley, can you explain to the jurors when you began the autopsy procedure on Mr. Drinks on March 17th, can you tell the jurors what you did first to kind of initiate your process as it related to the autopsy?
Yes. Before any autopsy, the investigative information, which is written up by the investigator, is reviewed. I always say an autopsy is never performed in a vacuum. You always have the investigative information first, and then a further investigative information or medical history is needed that's requested by the medical examiner. So in this case, as there were gunshot wounds, x-rays were taken of Mr. Drinks. Before the autopsy, every medical examiner's office has the capability to perform x-rays. In this case, it's because if there are bullets in the body, the location needs to be determined and they need to be recovered at autopsy. After that, the external examination is performed, documenting everything from hair color, eye color, scars, tattoos, trauma, obviously, if trauma is present, and then the internal examination is performed.
Okay, and I want to show you, it should pop up on the screen before you, State's Exhibits 127 BV and 129 BV. Now, Dr. Sim-Stanley, can you explain to the jurors, I guess, the purpose of this photograph that is taken during the autopsy procedure?
This is a facial identification photograph. You will notice in every photograph there is the unique identifying case number for this autopsy and for every piece of evidence which is associated with this autopsy.
Okay, and in State Exhibit 129, can you tell the jurors, is this the state in which Mr. Drink's body was received by the medical examiner's office?
Yes. Everyone is received within a sealed and labeled body bag. Once that body bag is opened, photographs are taken along the way as an extra step of documentation. So this is a photograph of how Mr. Drinks was received. The white paper bags on the hands are placed on the hands, typically by law enforcement at the scene, for preservation of possible evidence.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, in your, I guess, when you began the external review of Mr. Drinks, can you tell the jurors, did you notice, as it relates to the injuries, anything like soot or stippling?
No. However, there was what's called pseudo stippling or false stippling associated with the entrance gunshot wound of his neck.
Okay, can you explain to the jurors what is pseudo stippling and how is that created?
Yes. Well, first, soot is the combustion of gunpowder, which is associated with contact or near contact gunshot wounds. Gunpowder stippling refers to the burning and unburned grains of gunpowder, which can impact on the skin around an entrance gunshot wound. They look like red pinpoint, very small abrasions. This is characteristic of close range or intermediate range gunshot wounds. In this case, the investigative information and the scene findings I had was that Mr. Drinks was found deceased within a vehicle, and that there were gunshot wound defects noted in the car doors, the front door, the front driver's door, the front passenger door, as well as the front passenger's windshield. So he had what's called pseudo stippling, so it's not gunpowder stippling, but there were larger irregular abrasions which were associated with the entrance gunshot wound of the neck. So what that tells you is, in conjunction with the scene findings, that when a bullet passes through an intermediary target, say the bullet passes through a wall or a window prior to striking the victim, that can fragment the bullet, and those bullet fragments can impact on the skin around the entrance wound, or it can fragment the intermediary object itself, the door, the window. So those fragments can impact. So there were those irregular fragments of either the intermediary target or the projectile around the entrance wound of the neck.
And the irregularly, can't say that word this morning, the irregular, the things that you found to be not normal, I guess. My mouth is not going to say that word today. Can you tell us, in State's Exhibit 138 VB, can you point out to the jury what you are talking about as it relates to the pseudo stippling?
Yes, it's easier to see on what's termed the clean photograph. Photographs of wounds are taken before cleaning the body and after.
Yes.
But
145 VV, if that will help assist.
Yes, if you can look at the top of the photograph, when we see the outline of his mandible or his lower jaw, I think you can appreciate there are some irregular red or dark areas that are associated around his mandible, and also around what's termed the mastoid process, this bump that you feel at the base of the skull. So those are characteristic of what's called pseudo-stippling. So they're fragments of the intermediary target.
Now, can you tell the jurors, how does that affect your ability to determine, I guess, the range of fire, or how far a barrel of a gun is from the gunshot wound that we're looking at here in State's Exhibit 145, Victor?
Well, once a projectile has passed through an intermediary target before striking the victim, the medical examiner is not able to determine that distance. Say if there is the shooter, a door, and the victim, the medical examiner is not able to determine whether the shot was fired immediately next to the door or 30 feet, 50 feet, or more away from the door. So it's termed indeterminate range. In other words, you don't know the range of fire through an intermediary target. So this was indeterminate range through an intermediary target. That's the range of fire.
So the findings that you just talked about, are they consistent with someone being shot while in a vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you talked about in States Exhibit 145 BV that this wound on the neck was an entrance wound. Can you tell the jurors, is there an exit wound associated with this injury, this shot to the neck?
There was not. The bullet was retained within the body.
Okay. And I should have asked you this first. In the exhibit we're looking at in 145 BV, can you tell the jurors what side of Mr. Drink's body is this gunshot wound to the neck?
This is the right side of the neck.
Oh,
This would be the
that's
side
tough.
that's, I guess, closest to, if you're sitting in the driver's seat of a vehicle, to the passenger, I guess, compartment.
Correct, yes.
Now, can you tell the jurors, if there is no exit wound, can you explain to the jurors, were you able to determine during the external and internal portions of the autopsy that you performed, the pathway of travel of the projectile or bullet through Mr. Drink's neck and into his body?
Yes, the bullet entered the right side of the neck. It was going upward, in other words, towards the top of Mr. Drink's head and to his left. So the bullet passed through the soft tissue of the neck and impacted the base of the skull, fractured the base of the skull, and caused bleeding within the brain case. And also caused a small laceration of the base of the brain.
Now, Doctor, can you explain to the jurors when someone receives a traumatic injury like this, and you said it goes through Mr. Drink's neck, it fractures the base of the skull, and does it travel upward?
Yes, it was traveling upward.
Okay. The areas of the brain that you just described, that the pathway of travel is for the projectile, can you tell the jury what areas of the brain is affected and what motor skills does it affect as it relates to someone who is shot in this manner?
Well, in this case, the bullet fracturing the base of the skull, this represents a massive injury to the skull and also to the brain. It caused bleeding on the surface and within the brain. And whenever there is massive trauma such as this to the brain, consciousness is lost immediately. However, I could not determine whether this shot was instantly fatal or if Mr. Drink still had some cardiac and respiratory activity for some undetermined period of time.
That's a tough way to go.
Sometimes with these catastrophic injuries to the brain can send out a signal to the heart, which causes the heart to either stop beating immediately or to go into a lethal rhythm. So consciousness would have been lost immediately, but whether death was instantaneous or there was some cardiac activity or breathing activity for some period of time, I couldn't determine.
Thank God.
And can you explain to the jury, based on the circumstances you kind of just described, what does, I know you described what the brain, the message that is sent to the heart, can you explain to the jurors, are there other things that the body does under these circumstances? And I mean, are there any involuntary actions that the body can produce as it relates to someone who was shot in this manner?
Well, if there was still cardiac and respiratory activity, then there could have been obviously breathing. As people are dying, they can exhibit abnormal patterns of breathing. So I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to.
And I guess I'll give you an example. In an instance where someone is shot like this, and can someone's hands clench and it remain clenched because of the immediate traumatic injury that they received to their brain?
It's Possible, yes.
Now, as it relates to the direction of travel, if Mr. Drink's head is tilted to the left and he's shot from the right side through the passenger door, would that be consistent with, I guess, why the projectile would travel upward?
Yes. And just a clarification, when I talk of the direction of the bullet, that means the direction of the bullet once it enters the body. I'm not able to determine direction of the position of the gun or the shooter from
Interesting.
Okay. And so if the bullet enters the right side of his neck, it travels upward. Can you explain to the jurors where the bullet ended within the head cavity of Mr. Drinks?
Yes, the bullet was recovered within the fractured base of the skull.
That's tough, man. Dang.
Okay. Can you explain to the jurors, as you continued the autopsy, were there any other injuries associated with a gunshot wound?
Yes. Mr. Drinks had a gunshot wound pathway through the upper portion of his right forearm. It entered what's referred to as the back or the dorsal aspect of the forearm. The bullet passed through the soft tissue of the forearm and then exited the ventral or inside surface of the right forearm.
And in the exhibit that we're looking at in front of you states that 140 VV, is that the entrance wound that you just described as it relates to the shot that he received in his forearm?
Yes, that is the entrance wound.
Now, I want to show you State's Exhibit 142 VV. I know you just described kind of the travel or the pathway of travel of the bullet. In this exhibit, 142, Victor, is this the exit wound that you just described?
Yes, it is.
Now, can you explain to the jurors how you're able to determine which is an entry wound and which is an exit wound based on your training and your number of years of experience?
Oh, this will be interesting.
In general, entrance gunshot wounds have a more round, regular appearance. Typically, entrance gunshot wounds have what's called an abrasion border. This means as the bullet pierces the skin, it abrades or scrapes off a thin border of the skin around the wound. Exit gunshot wounds typically have a more irregular appearance. They typically do not have abrasion borders, but there can be exceptions.
And in State's Exhibit 141 VV, the abrasion border that you're describing, is that what's in the middle of, I guess, State's Exhibit 141 VV, that's the darker colored area around the gunshot wound?
No, that's more of the flap of skin.
Oh, they're not going to show it on YouTube.
The doctor, I'll let you do it.
This entrance gunshot wound was larger than normal. It was...
Hold on. Are they... Give me 1 second, y'all. I need to make sure we're not going to show anything crazy. Hold on. Yeah, these next few slides are going to be tough for YouTube. So hold on a second.
Half an inch. The entrance gunshot wound of the neck was about 2/10 or
I'll bring it back
3/10
here in
of
a
an
second.
inch. So because this entrance gunshot wound was round, it was larger and more irregular. That was also consistent with this projectile also passing through an intermediary target. The abrasion border was slightly more irregular.
Yeah, that's fine if Cat showed it, but I'm not going to take that risk.
This is a dark abrasion. There's also a thinner rim of dark abrasion on this side of the entrance gunshot.
Shout out to Cat, not Williams. I'm not doing it.
This represents a laceration or tear of the skin. And then this area is just somewhat of an irregular flap of skin.
Okay. And then I'm going to bring back up States 142 VV. Can you explain to the jurors the difference in the exit wound that we're seeing here as it relates to the entry wound and how you are able to make your determinations?
Yes. This is an exit wound. Exit wounds can
Yeah, I'm
either
sorry,
look
y'all.
like multiple lacerations
I'm not gonna
or tears of the
risk showing
skin,
it.
but one of the characteristics of exit gunshot wounds is that you can reapproximate the skin edges, and that exit gunshot wounds typically do not have an abrasion border. So there's no abrasion border associated with this wound, and it was very easy to reapproximate the skin edges.
Thank you very much. Now, as a part of the autopsy that you performed, I want to show you State's Exhibit 147 VV and 148 VV. Can you explain to the jurors, I guess, the analysis that you did as it relates to the jacket that Mr. Drinks had on when he was shot?
Yes. For homicide cases, photographs of the clothing are always made, and then photographs are taken to determine if there are defects in the clothing which seem to correspond with the gunshot wounds.
And when you're examining the clothing of a victim who's been shot, do you look for soot, like you talked about earlier, to determine, to help you make a determination as it relates to range of fire?
Yes.
Okay. Now, lastly, I want to show you State's Exhibit 161 VV. Now, you described at the beginning of your autopsy that x-rays are always taken, as well as the fact that you, during the autopsy, were able to remove a projectile from I think you said the base of the fractures.
That's a good question.
The skull of Mr. Drinks, is that correct?
Yes.
And in State's Exhibit 161 VB, is this the projectile that you removed?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And because my medical terminology is limited, can you explain to the jurors? You said
Yeah, she's good. That's a great witness.
Yes, I actually removed it from the occipital skull. The occipital skull forms the lower back portion of the skull, but also the back half of the base of the skull. I wrote sphenoid skull, which is a portion of the skull which is in the central base of the skull, and that was a mistake, and I noted it in the report. It was recovered from the occipital skull, not the sphenoid skull.
And in 146 VV, can you orient the jurors, I guess, do you see, I guess, the general area where the projectile would have been removed? Is it contained in that photograph, like the base of the skull?
No, that photograph was just to document whether there were injuries behind the right ear.
So I'm going to have you, I guess, show on me where would the bullet have been removed as it relates to the base of Mr. Drink's skull?
The bullet would have been removed from, it's difficult to point because it would have been, if we think of the base of the skull, it would have been inside, below the skull base, somewhat on the right side.
Okay. Is it near the knot that you described earlier? On the other side?
It would have been internal to that, yes.
And can you tell the jurors, once you removed the projectile,
Yeah, that's tough.
and placed it in the clear box with it being labeled, what do you do with it next?
It is then submitted as evidence to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
Now, as a part of your autopsy procedures, can you tell the jurors what your determination was as it relates to the cause of death of Mr. Drinks?
Yes, I stated that the cause of death was multiple gunshot wounds.
And as it relates to your determination of the manner of death of Mr. Drinks, can you explain to the jurors what your determination was?
Yes, for the purposes of a medical examiner, if the actions of another individual cause or contribute to the death, then the manner is classified as a homicide.
nothing further at this time.
All right, are there questions? Okay.
I wonder if they're going to ask her the same
Good morning.
questions.
My name is Max Shard. I represent Shannon Stillwell, okay?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Stillwell is seated right over here. So I want to ask you about this concept of stippling and pseudo-stippling first, okay? Now, you're not saying that stippling is involved in this case. You're saying pseudo-stippling.
Yes.
Which could have been caused by the projectile fragmenting and the low pieces embedding in or affecting Mr. Drinks' skin, or low pieces of the intermediate object, perhaps a window or something like that.
Or door, yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm not talking about the pseudo-stippling that you found in this case. I'm just talking in general when we're talking about stippling. I just want to clarify something. Stippling, you're saying, is caused by burns around a gunshot wound when it's a close in range shot.
Yes. When one says stippling, it typically means gunpowder stippling, but yes, that's correct.
Okay, and you're saying gunpowder stippling, and that's just what I want to clarify. The stippling is caused by gunpowder soot that is ejected out the barrel of the gun and would affect the skin of the unfortunate decedent, correct?
Yes, gunpowder stippling represents the burning and unburned grains of gunpowder, which exit the barrel and can impact on the skin in a close-range gunshot wound.
Okay, and I know you're not an expert in gunshot residue testing or anything like that, but I just want to clarify. These are two different concepts, correct?
That's correct.
Gunpowder stippling and then gunshot residue testing, where you would test an area or a specific object for the presence of gunshot residue. Those are two separate concepts, both involving gunshot residue.
Well, the determination of gunpowder stippling at autopsy, yes, is done by the medical examiner.
Right,
Yes.
okay. Okay. Now, in this case, as I understand, there were two gunshot wounds that you observed.
Yes.
Okay. One to the arm, to the forearm, and one to the neck.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. The lethal wound was the wound to the neck.
That's correct.
Okay. And as the medical examiner, you do not know what order those two shots occurred.
That is correct. I do not know
Okay,
the
so
order.
Mr. Drinks could have been shot in the arm first or in the neck first.
That's correct.
Okay. And I want to talk specifically about the lethal wound to the neck. Okay. You talked and used medical terms, and it sounds like there was massive injury to the base of the brain, among other things.
The skull and the brain, yes, sir.
Okay. And you testified, to my understanding, that the ability to consciously control one's body would be immediately lost.
That's correct.
Okay. Death may not be immediate, but the ability to move body parts, to open a door, to move your feet up and down, things of that nature would be immediately lost.
Yes, conscious movement would have been immediately lost. Yes.
Okay, and we're not talking about within a minute, we're talking about immediate because of the severance of the, because the base of the brain
Because of
was
the
severed.
massive damage to the skull and the brain, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Anything, Mr. Watson? Okay, any redirect?
Very brief. Dr. Stanley, if after receiving a gunshot wound to the neck, as Mr. Drinks did, and prior to being shot, he had his foot compressed on the brake, is it possible, or is it consistent with the fact, would his foot remain on the brake? Is that possible?
After sustaining the gunshot wound to the neck?
Yes.
Yes, that's possible. Yes.
Now, you said earlier that the direction of travel was upward. Can you explain to the jury, was it upward to the left, upward to the right? Can you explain that?
Yes, again, this direction is simply from the time that the bullet enters the body. It went towards his head, which is upward, and towards his left, upward and to the left.
And I want to ask you one last question. When someone is shot, would you expect to find gunshot residue on that person?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yikes.
I don't have anything further, Your Honor.
Shout out to Amber.
Doctor, Mr. Abadi just asked, after being shot in the neck in the way that Mr. Drinks was, unfortunately, whether it's possible that one's foot could remain on a break if it was already there. And you said that's possible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is not possible, you would agree it's not possible after suffering that wound that someone would be actively moving their feet up and down off the brake. That would not be possible, would it?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for your time, and you are excused.
Yes,
How long is your next witness?
Probably about 35 minutes.
Okay, why don't we take a break, and then we'll get back with our next witness.
Y'all know, on this channel, we're all gas, no brakes. So we're going to skip through it. But before I do, shout out to some of the super chats in here. Let me read these real quick before we keep going. We had, did I read these earlier? Shout out to Les Cleaver with the 5 bombs, said, let's start this day off right. Appreciate you. We had Michael Schmidt in the building. Shout out to Michael Schmidt from Germany, says she works with Fanny. So she is a gang member in the prosecution gang. Yeah, we've seen a lot of gang activity in this trial, that's for sure. We've got Gerard in the building, dropped the 2 bomb. I appreciate you. Also, we have, who is this? Penny Neal dropped the 5 bomb up in here as well. Says, oh no, is me Mug Love back? Yeah, unfortunately. I guess it's a Willis/Love comeback day. Lord, I guess that I'm here for it. Yeah, and you know, Fannie Willis, she got reelected. We tried to do our part, but it wasn't enough this time. We're gonna keep trying. All right, here we go. Shout out to Amber Rain in the building. Oh my gosh. Amber Rain gifted 10 memberships. If you got a membership from Amber, please make sure you say thank you. And don't make me call y'all out by name because I will. All right. Oh, Lord have mercy. Hold on a second. Also, Amber dropped the 100 bomb. Amber, what are you doing? Showing so much love. Thank you, Amber. I appreciate you. What does she say? With the 100 bomb, all red, all dripped out in the red, dripping in blood, as Miss Love would say. She says, make America great again. Thank you always for the great content, and your intelligent commentary, even if it's muted commentary. Oh, man. Just couldn't help it. Shout out to Amber in the building, showing so much love. Thank you, Amber, for the support. You did not have to do that. Wow. Let me put her up in the banner. We got Amber in here gifting 100 bomb. And hold on a second. She gifted 10 memberships too. My goodness. The major sponsor of today's show. All right. I got her in there. Boom. Got to put some respect on her name. All right, cool. All right, let's go ahead and get back into the court proceedings. And thank you again to everybody who sent in super chats. I will be reading those super chats throughout the show. And thank y'all for liking the video too. It looks like we have over 1,100 of you that liked the video. My gosh. Thank y'all, man. It really does help us continue to grow. All right, let's keep it moving. And again, shout out to Amber. Let's see. They come back right here. And I agree. Someone said in the chat, that was the best witness today. I love it. I love it when we learn a lot from these witnesses in here. Oh, and don't take the bait from Sean, Amber. Hey, Amber, don't take the bait from Sean. He's trying to start stuff. Don't do it. Just ignore him.
Is it possible?
Just tell him to wait and see.
Yeah, because there's a gas leak at the corner of MLK and Piedmont.
Can we just have Tim, he's getting out of his car at foot.
Do not engage, Amber.
Witnesses.
He said he won't let him find.
Nah, you ain't slick, Sean. I protect my people. Amber's family, so no. Don't do it, Amber.
I mean, if we hadn't taken our break, he'd be like 30 minutes late already.
But if that had happened, he would have been here.
Do you have somebody else you can call?
Yes, Sean.
All right, call somebody else. Let's get the jury out. Please. We're ready for the jury. That's all right.
Yeah, y'all gonna be mad when I show up with the MAGA t-shirt. People are really gonna unsubscribe, man. All right, let's get it together, y'all. The jury's coming back in. Let's see who we have up next.
Your Honor, the state called Ms. Davis to the stand.
Raise your right hand. You swear firm testimony to give the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Absolutely. And then you state, spell your first and last name. And then spell your first and last, I'm sorry, pronounce your first and last name and then spell your first and last name for the court.
Harshida Davis, Harshida, last name Davis, Davis.
And where are you employed?
I work for Enterprise Mobility, which operates as Enterprise Alamo and National Car Rental.
And how long have you worked for Enterprise Mobility?
23 years.
Nice.
And are you here locally?
Yes.
Tell the jury briefly about your time with Enterprise.
So I've worked with Enterprise in several different markets. I started in North Carolina, in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have worked in the Chicago market, the Fort Myers market, and most recently here in the Atlanta market. I've been here for just over 5 years, and I manage the risk management program for all of Atlanta and Atlanta metro area and suburbs and north of Atlanta.
And if you can tell the jury, what does your group do as far as the risk management program?
So my department is primarily responsible for vehicle safety, security, investigations, compliance, and litigation.
And in your role, are you familiar with the official records of Enterprise Holdings?
Yes.
Right. And are those documents or records generated when an individual rents a vehicle?
Yes.
And are those records kept in a regular and ordinary course of business for Enterprise Holdings?
Yes.
Yeah, she said Enterprise.
Tell the jury, what are the documents that are generated when an individual rents a vehicle?
So we generally have the rental agreement, which would be signed by the person renting the vehicle. And then we also have documents that are generated once the rental agreement is initiated, documents that can be generated throughout the rental, within the computer system.
And when you're renting a vehicle with a rental agency, a part of Enterprise Holdings, are there security cameras and security footage at the locations?
There are typically security cameras at the locations. Not every single rental location in our company has security cameras.
And if there are certain facilities with surveillance videos, are those surveillance videos kept in a regular and ordinary course of business for Enterprise Holdings?
Yes.
Can you generally describe the rental process for an individual renting a vehicle with Alamo
Please don't
under
do
the
this.
Enterprise umbrella?
So typically,
Oh my
someone
gosh.
renting with Alamo at where specifically, just it would be different based on location. So I'm just wanting to make sure which location you would like me to.
Let's talk about the location at the airport.
At the Atlanta airport.
Atlanta airport, yes.
Okay, so at the Atlanta airport, an individual would typically,
We know how to rent a
they
car.
could walk up for a reservation or they could book a reservation in advance. They would arrive at our counters at the rental car center, and we would validate the reservation, validate form of payment, as well as validate the driver's license for the person who would be renting the vehicle.
And when you say you validate the driver's license, what exactly do you do in order to validate?
It's we visually validate the driver's license, that it belongs to the person who's renting the vehicle.
And are cars with Alamo sometimes rented through third-party businesses?
Yes, you can book through a third-party agency, so there's different agencies that book rather than going just straight to the Alamo website.
Is the rental process different if you book through a third party versus going directly to the Alamo website?
It's not. The only difference would be the form of payment may be prepaid versus paid at the counter.
You talked about verifying identification. What identification needs to be presented to rent the vehicle with Alamo?
If you have a valid U.S. driver's license, we would just require you to present your original, true valid driver's license. If you have a foreign driver's license, we would need the foreign driver's license. If the foreign driver's license, we're not able to interpret it, we would require also an international driver's license be presented alongside the foreign driver's license, and then a copy of we would view the passport.
When individuals rent cars with Alamo, are they allowed to have a secondary driver?
Yes.
You can add a secondary driver to the contract.
Please don't ask what the process is like.
If the secondary driver is a spouse, do they have to be added to the contract?
We do not add spouses to the contract. Built into our contract, a legal spouse with a valid driver's license is able to operate the vehicle.
Now, if a renter approaches with an individual and they say that's their spouse, can they be an authorized user? Do you verify whether or not they are actually married or not?
We do not.
Now, with Alamo, with your fleet of vehicles, when an individual rents a vehicle from Alamo, are they allowed to tint or manipulate the vehicle in any way?
No.
No.
We earlier talked about surveillance footage. Is there surveillance footage at the Alamo location rented?
I thought it was hers too.
Alamo rental location at the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport.
Yes.
Generally, how long are surveillance videos kept at that location?
At that location, surveillance should be kept for a minimum of 60 days. Depending on how much data, you could get a little bit longer than that, but it's a minimum of 60 days.
And in your role, do you sometimes get requests from law enforcement to assist with law enforcement investigations?
Yes.
Now, earlier you talked that part of the risk management job duties is to ensure vehicle safety and security. How do you go about ensuring vehicle safety and security?
Well, we have a lot of internal processes in place, but there's also external laws and guidelines we have to follow in regards to keeping vehicles safe. And our job in our risk management department is to coach and train all employees that come through are hired on in the company to know, how to ensure that they are only renting safe vehicles, and how to properly inspect vehicles, and what condition they should be rented in.
I want to direct your attention to March 16th, 2022. Did a member of Alamo Security team get a request for documentation for a rental vehicle associated with a tag number of MD8ED7071 from the Atlanta Police Department?
They did.
Okay. And were you able to provide any documentation or any other information regarding that vehicle?
I'm sorry, what?
Sure. Were they able to produce any documentation to the Atlanta Police Department?
Yes.
And have you had an opportunity to see that documentation prior to your testimony today?
Yes.
Permission to approach her? You may. I'm showing you what's been marked as Stacy's Exhibit 186 VV and 187 VV. Tell me if you recognize those items.
I do.
First start with 186 VV. How do you recognize 186 VV?
These are the rental agreement details for the rental in question.
And how do you recognize 187 VV?
This is the signed rental agreement that was initiated at the time of that rental.
And are these two documents, the rental agreement details and the rental agreement, kept in the regular and ordinary course of Alamo business?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to admit Stacy's Exhibit 186 VV and 187 VV into evidence. Those are admitted.
Weird.
Permission to publish 186 VV.
Got to be a rental car agreement, I'm guessing.
And if we are able to zoom in. Looking at State's Exhibit 186 VV, what document is 186 VV?
So this document is the printout of the rental agreement details.
Okay. And let's start from the beginning. What is the rental time and date for this vehicle?
So the rental time of pickup is March 14th, 2022 at 14:58 hours, and the estimated return time is March 20th, 2022 at 1500 hours.
Okay. And it's 14:58, 2:58 p.m.?
Yes.
Right. And is there any other information contained within this first portion of the document of note?
Just the rental agreement number, which is our file number for this rental, the reservation number, as well as it does, the 258 timestamp is when the contract was started, and then the 3:07 or 1507 minutes just is when the contract was completed.
And is completion when it is actually signed?
It's when the vehicle is added to the rental and completed at the exit.
Okay. All right, I want to scroll down to the second portion of State Exhibit 186 VV. Now, looking at the second portion where it has frequent traveler program, what information is contained in this second portion of 186 VV?
This is just information regarding how the vehicle was booked and what the rates contract numbers are. But you can see where it says Priceline package, it's just saying that it was booked through Priceline.
All right. And going down to the next portion, do we see the license plate number?
Yes.
And what is that license plate number?
It's AED 7071, Maryland.
And are you able to see here what type of vehicle it is?
It does not state exactly what type of vehicle it is right here. However, it does, it provides the last 8 digits of the VIN, the vehicle identification number, and then it also states that it's a luxury car.
Okay. And within your luxury fleet at Alamo, are Audis a part of your luxury fleet at Alamo?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Sure. You said it was a luxury
Sure.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Within your luxury fleet, is an Audi considered one of the vehicles that's a part of the luxury fleet?
Correct.
All right. I want to scroll down. Who is the renter for this contract?
Shannon Bernard Jackson.
Right. And there's some information.
Shout out to SB.
Redacted. Would that be the information that would have been provided as a part of the rental agreement?
Yes, as part of this document, that information this section is the contact information for the renter.
Okay. Scrolling down. And let's start at the beginning of the note section. What information is generally contained within the note section of this rental agreement detail?
So it's just your basic information when you first pick up the vehicle. It tells you if any products have been added to the contract, just what's been done to initiate the rental.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at 258 on March 14th, 2022, what, if any, information was provided within the note section?
There's an alert that came through that, we needed to verify ID and payment method.
All right.
Which is standard.
I want to scroll down to March 16th, 2022 at 13:36. What, if anything, happened on March 16th, 2022?
So it appears that the renter contacted our customer service department and extended the rental. The customer service department provided a new rate, a new extension date for the contract, and indicated that the renter agreed.
Okay. And is it fair to say that the initial agreement was for March 14th through March 16th, but then on March 16th it was extended to March 20th?
Yes.
Is there any other information contained on 186 VV?
This is brutal, but we're going to make it through.
No.
Okay. No,
There is, I think you skipped over the section in the personal information. There's a little section just that does provide a driver's license number for the person renting the vehicle, but it was blacked out.
Okay. And would that have been verified like we discussed earlier?
Yes.
All right. Now looking at 187 VV. Looking at State's Exhibit 187 VV, what is 187 VV?
This is the signed rental agreement that was initiated at the time of the rental.
All right. And does it contain some of the information that was in the rental agreement details that we just looked at?
Yes, it does contain some of the same information.
Now, What was the address of the rental location where this vehicle was rented from?
2200 Rental Car Center Parkway
Yeah, it's not
in
really
College
proven.
Park.
And is that your
All this to say that somebody rented a
Yes.
car is crazy.
And what on here does it tell us what type of vehicle was rented on the rental agreement?
It tells you the type of vehicle, and it does tell you the rental information.
Right, and so what we have
It doesn't actually provide the VIN on this document. It provides it, it's in the rental agreement details.
All right. And I want to scroll down to the middle. Is this the document that would have been provided to Mr. Jackson at the facility when he went to go pick up the car?
Yes.
All right. And looking at the signature lines, is it signed SJ?
Yes.
All right. And then flipping to page 2 of the document. Is there a final signature at the bottom of the page?
Yes. Yes.
And generally, what is the renter agreeing to by signing this document?
The renter is agreeing to our terms and conditions of the rental contract.
And would the terms and agreement include not manipulating or adding tents to the vehicle?
Yes.
All right. Now, at the airport facility, does that facility have surveillance video?
Yes.
Okay. And as a part of the request from the Atlanta Police Department, were you able to provide surveillance images for this rental?
Yes.
Commissioner Approach, you may. I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 189 VV and 188 VV. Tell me if you recognize 189 VV and 188 VV.
Yes.
How do you recognize them?
They're screenshots from video footage from our camera system.
And do those appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of screenshots from the surveillance images from the rental on March 14, 2022?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to admit State's Exhibit 189 VV and 188 VV into evidence.
Those are, I think you admitted.
First, we're going to publish State's Exhibit 188 VV.
right, and so what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
None. That's a great point, Sean.
When a renter, while we're waiting for it, when a renter calls in or requests for a vehicle extension, do you ever ask for a reason for the vehicle extension?
No, it's a pretty common practice.
Right. Looking at State's Exhibit 188 VV, can you tell the jurors where at the Alamo, is this the airport facility? Is this the Alamo Airport facility?
Yes.
Okay. Where would this surveillance video image be captured?
At our exit booth.
Okay. And looking at the exit booth, do you see a young woman in the driver's seat?
Yes.
And are you able to see anyone from this picture in the passenger seat?
Yes.
Okay. Are you able to tell sitting here if that's a male or a female?
Looks like a female.
I think it's a male.
Okay. All right. And
is she saying the passenger
what is
seat?
happening generally when this images is being captured?
They're, when the renter completes the contract, they go out to the garage where they select a vehicle. And so at the exit booth, the vehicle is then added on to the contract. And they just, have to show the information that they were given at the counter. And this is where the completion of the contract happens.
Do you have to show your driver's license again at this particular portion of the rental process?
They may request it.
Now I want to show you what's been admitted as Exhibit 189 VV. Where is this
shout out to
image being
VV.
captured?
So this is at our counter, at the Alamo counter that's located in the rental car center.
And would this generally be the beginning of the process to rent the vehicle, or to pick up the vehicle, I should say?
Yes.
Now, to your knowledge, was this vehicle ever returned to the rental facility on March 20th, 2022?
It was not.
Did you ever recover this vehicle?
We did.
And where was it recovered?
It was recovered from the police.
Okay. And when vehicles are recovered, do you take pictures of the vehicles once it's returned back to Alamo?
We will if the
They have to
vehicle
fill
is
out a
damaged
report.
or it has any change of condition from when it was rented out.
Okay. Permission to approach again, Your Honor?
Ma'am.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 176 BV through 185 BV. I want you to take a moment and look through this.
Jesus.
Finish? Do those appear to be fair and accurate depictions of pictures that were taken of the vehicle when it was recovered and brought back to Alamo?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to admit State's Exhibit 175 BV through 188 BV.
Okay, before you said 176 through 185, what is it really?
Yes, Your Honor. Sorry, 176 through 185.
Okay, those are admitted.
And first I want to start with State's Exhibit 185 BV. Looking at State's Exhibit 185 BV, is this the vehicle that was rented to Shannon
Oh, that's
Jackson
a
on
nice
March
car.
14, 2022?
Yes.
And in looking
Bringing
at
back
State's
the
Exhibit
Infinity, yo.
185 BV, do you notice anything different about the vehicle when it's returned to Alamo?
Yeah. I agree.
The vehicle does have a significant just amount of tint on it.
And where do you see that significant amount of tint on it?
In this picture, I can see it on the windshield.
And would Alamo have had any tint on the vehicle when it was rented?
We do not tint our vehicles.
I'm going to show you what's been admitted as Exhibit 176 VV. I'm going to show you 184 VV and 180 VV.
You might be right. I'm with you on that.
Do those pictures also show a similar level of tint on the vehicle?
Yes.
And sitting here now, do you know when that tint was ever put on that vehicle?
I do not.
Yeah, they rent the cars just to.
Now I want to show
Run
you
the streets.
182 VV. .183 VV. And 177 VV. First, let me ask, where is this facility, or what facility is this where the car is?
So this facility is located at 4100 Global Gateway Connector. It is at our service center.
Yeah, they could just ban you from leasing.
Where vehicles
or
are taken
renting.
after, you know, they've either been towed in from being damaged, or they need to be serviced, or, you know, returned by the police if they were involved in an investigation. It's not the rental car center. It's an off-site location at the airport.
And in looking at, again, 182 VV and 183 VV, do you see any differences on the inside of the vehicle that would not have been present when the car was first rented?
Yeah, I mean, you can see where the headliner's down, parts of the vehicle have been dismantled. Appears that the windshield was taken out. So there's just different things that have happened to the vehicle.
And guess what these rental car companies do with the tinted windows? They leave them. They don't remove the tint on these cars, y'all. Trust me.
And I want to look at 183 VV. You just mentioned the headliner being taken out. Looking at 183 VV, where would the headliner have been prior to?
They leave that tint right on there. Most of the time.
It just would have been surrounding what is like the sunroof up there, where I guess it's just hard to describe, but that area. Can I point?
Yes, you can. Do you have a statement?
I don't know, but.
That's a great point. Rice Street says the police probably did all that damage.
You can tell that something's been removed. That was originally there.
All right, thank you. You can take your seat.
It is. It is, Michelle. It is. We're really not going to learn too much here.
Now, I want to go back to the tint. To your knowledge, did Mr. Jackson ever request or ask anyone at Alamo if he could have an exception to the rule and tint the vehicle?
No.
If he would have called and made such a request, would one have been granted?
No.
No.
Free vlog.
Of course, those from one
Yeah,
moment.
free tint, free vlog, man. We can't forget my boy vlog.
Looking at 172 VV
It's tough out here.
and 173 VV. And the item that we see on the ground, this Scott item, is that just an item that's in the facility?
Yes. It appears that it's just a piece is leaning up against it, and that would just be stuff that we have in our service center.
Okay. Now looking at 179 VV. What is contained in 179 VV?
So this is the dash of the vehicle, and this is just a typical picture that we take whenever we're taking pictures of a damaged vehicle. We would take this standard picture of the odometer.
All right. And as I wrap up, going back to
Oh, thank God.
Exhibit 186 VV. The driver's license information that's contained on this document, would that have been the driver's license information of Mr. Jackson?
It would have been the information of Mr. Jackson as the renter of the vehicle.
Okay. And then my last question, when we looked at the tinting on the vehicle, were all of the windows significantly tinted?
I don't have the pictures right in front of me, but based on what we just reviewed and what I've looked at, yes. Yes.
Court indulgence.
It appears that all of the windows are tinted.
Court indulgence for one moment. No further questions.
Questions to this witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I don't know, Dougie.
Good morning still. My name is Max Shard. I represent Shannon Stillwell, okay? All right. And let me just, Shannon Stillwell is also known as Shannon Jackson. Okay, so Shannon Jackson, I may say Stillwell, Jackson Stillwell, same person, okay?
Okay.
All right. Miss Knight, would you do me a favor and just put up 189 VV? Thank you. Ms. Davis, if I ask you any questions about specifics, I'm going to have this picture published, but just let me know if you need to refer to any of the other documents in front of you,
Okay.
such as the rental contract, etc., okay? All right, so as I understand, Mr. Jackson, or I'm going to say Mr. Stillwell. Mr. Stillwell came in to rent a car on March 14th at approximately 3 p.m. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was that car, do you know if that car was already booked online, or if he just, with his friend, arrived at the counter to rent this car?
Based on the information from the rental agreement, it appears that there is a reservation attached to the rental.
When was that car reserved?
I do not have that information.
Okay, so we don't know when the online reservation was made. All right.
No.
Okay, so Mr. Stillwell shows up with this, do you know this lady's name?
I do not.
Okay. So he shows up with this lady and to pick up his car that he booked online, correct?
It appears that way.
Okay. He came into the Alamo rental desk where there's surveillance videos himself. He didn't send someone else to come pick up the car, did he?
I don't believe so.
Okay. He provided his name, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I know certain things were redacted. He provided a address from his license.
Correct.
He provided a telephone number.
Correct.
He provided his license.
Correct.
He paid using a credit card, correct?
He had a Priceline reservation, so he would have had a credit card on file, but likely it was prepaid through Priceline.
Okay, so he had a credit card on file.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all that information was presented and known by Alamo when he came to pick up this car that he reserved at some other time earlier, correct?
Correct.
All right. And he signed the rental agreement, correct?
Correct.
In his real name.
Correct.
All right. So then, and that was, he picks up the car on March 14th at approximately 3 p.m. And then on March 16th, he recorded the records, and I know you were not on the phone personally, right?
Correct.
Nope.
All right, but you're the custodian of records. According to the records, he calls on March 16th at 1:37 p.m. and wants to extend the rental on this white Audi, correct?
Allegedly.
He did call. I might have to refer to the document to confirm the time. Yes, at 1:36 p.m.
Okay. Now,
how do we know he called?
we'll talk about the tint. Ms. Knight, could you put up a picture of the car with the tint? Okay. When you received this car back from the police on March 20th, right? 2022? Was it March 20th you received the car back?
I don't know the exact date it arrived on our lot. March 20th is the estimated return date of the rental, but the vehicle wasn't returned through the normal return meet.
Fair enough. Don't worry about the date. When you received this car back from the police, right?
Yes.
Okay, it had tint on it.
Yes.
Okay. And tint was a violation of the rental agreement, wasn't it? Applying tint to the car.
We do not allow folks to alter the vehicle.
Mr. Stillwell violated assuming he applied the tint to the car, he violated the rental agreement, didn't he?
Yes.
Okay. Did you charge him with any crimes?
Violating a rental agreement, I did not charge him with any crimes.
Right. Okay. It was just a rental agreement, right?
Correct.
Okay. Are you aware that prior to renting a car from you, 2 separate attempts had been made on Mr. Stillwell's life?
Objection, Your Honor.
That's going to be...
Objection. What's your objection?
Were you aware when you came to testify that 2
It's an interesting question.
different attempts had made upon Mr. Stillwell's life?
I was not aware.
Were you aware that one of those attempts on his life was made when he was in a car?
I was not aware.
Okay. Ms. Knight, if you could please display 172 VV first. Okay, I just want to be clear on this. This picture, and maybe, I'm sorry, Ms. Knight, maybe 173 would be better. Okay.
Shout out
The
to
purpose of
Amazing
this picture
Grace.
is to show, and we're going to get to that in a second, but when you received the car back, the sunroof, is it moonroof, sunroof? Whichever one it is.
Yes.
Okay. Had been damaged somehow before you got the car back?
Yes.
Okay, and you don't personally know if that was damage done by Mr. Stillwell or done by the police when they were manipulating the car. That's fair to say?
Correct.
Okay, and the purpose of this photo is just to document the damage to the glass in the sunroof?
Correct.
Okay, and I just want to be clear what we're talking about. These other supplies, those are just supplies that were in the Alamo business, wherever this was, a storage facility, and not anything more than that?
Correct.
Okay, cool, thank you. And if you could just put 183. And again, this is the condition you got this car back from the police, correct?
Correct.
And you're familiar with the term headline?
Correct.
Okay. And the headliner had been removed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I have one brief moment.
Echo should be fixed now.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Thank you.
Anything, Mr. Weinstein? No question. Any redirect?
I'm going to show you part of what's been admitted as the 170 VV. Tell me if you recognize 170 VV.
I do. I do.
It was 170 VV.
It's the invoice that we received when we had to pick up the vehicle from the police and have it towed back to our facility.
And what is the date on that document?
March 24th.
And would that be when the vehicle would have been returned back to Alamo?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Shar asked you a series of questions regarding potential attempts on Mr. Jackson's life. Do you know if he has rented any other vehicles between 2015 and 2022?
I'm not aware.
Sitting here today, do you have any idea why a renter would put substantial tint on a vehicle that they were just renting initially for 2 days?
Because they wanted to.
Well, she's asking if she knows. So if you know, then you can answer.
Let me repeat it.
What?
I have my, a renter would.
Sustain. Sounds like she does not know.
Yeah.
That's a dumb
Think I have
question.
no further questions.
Get out of here, Ms. Hilton.
Any recross?
Sure, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Go ahead.
During the course of your time with Enterprise, how many cars have you had that may have had their headliner removed?
I wouldn't be able to answer that question.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because it's a terrible question.
All right. Thank you for your time. You are excused. Do we have another witness that won't take us more than 30 or 40 minutes?
How much time are you giving me?
I mean, 40 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Call your next witness then.
We're going to call Tyler Bateson, Your Honor.
Okay.
You need it? You got it?
Oh, Miss Love is about to come back. Ugh.
Your Honor, can we approach before we begin on this witness?
Yeah. Do you want me to have the witness step back out, or does it matter?
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Thank you.
There we go. Shout out to Doug Weinstein for saving us. Attorney Doug Weinstein with the assist. Yeah, we got to get up out of here. We're not doing any more love. No more love today. All right, y'all. Oh, shout out to Amazing Grace in there. Dropped the 20 bomb when she say, the greatest gender reveal in history. It's red. Love you, s'mores. Oh, my gosh. Shout out to Amazing Grace. Have a good day. Yeah, Grace. It's a great day. It's a great day to be an American. I'll see this. Woo, it's going to be fun. I know a lot of y'all are mad about it. It's going to be okay. This next 4 years is going to be amazing. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Thank you to Grace. I love and appreciate you too. All right, y'all, we're going to get up out of here. If you love independent music from some of the amazing artists in the community, make sure you stop by the show tonight. The Song of the Night live, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here in the ClassE Beats YouTube channel. We're going to be giving away some cash, some door prizes, and to kick off the show tonight, you'll get an opportunity to vote and decide which artists are going to move forward into the next season 10 tournament. So make sure you tune in tonight, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't yet, like the video on your way out. We're dropping some more videos this afternoon and tomorrow morning. So make sure y'all tune in. We'll be back, of course, for the Music Morning Show tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Thank you again to everybody who showed support. Shout out to the major sponsor of today's show, Amber Rain, and I will see y'all tomorrow. You know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We go. Peace.